Welcome to another battle report, folks. Another distance game with Brian playing on the end of some cameras, and another Eastern Front game in our warm-up to Bagration. So we're using Soviet Bagration lists, but German lists, just from the German D-Day book. Brian's building up some SS lists that he wants to use, but we're likely just to use them once we can play face-to-face, even though the equipment's all going to be the same. But we'll see, we might get some of them in the Bagration campaign proper. So let's have a look at the list we're using today, and you can probably tell at a glance that it's heavy emphasis on tanks. So Brian is using a Panzer list. So we've got a company command, 2 Panzer IVs, 2 platoons of 3 Panzer IVs, and 3 Panthers. And then in support, they've got Panzer Grenadier platoon with half tracks and Wesps with an observer Panzer III. So it's not a huge formation at all, but probably quite survivable. They're all careful, so they're all going to be hard to hit, and they can all do a bit of damage to my tanks. So my formation is a Hero T-34 force. So as far as the tanks go, in the formation there's a company command and then 3 platoons of 4 T-34s. 6 mortars, medium mortars, with a wild card of a armoured car, spotting armoured car BA-64, and a very small platoon of Hero SMGs. And then backing them up, 5 Su-100s. This is the first time I've used these, I think, in version 4. If you saw the video I did with my Soviet lists, you'll see me discussing the differences between these guys in version 3 and version 4. And, they're not as well armoured, and they're not as long ranged, and they don't have rerolls that they would have in version 3. But they do have veteran skill, and they're careful. So, and still anti-tank 15, 32-inch range. So that's okay. Not as good as a Panther at 40. But with that skill rating of 3, it might be they can do the shoot and scoot any position, get that vital shot in. This game they're likely to be deployed from ambush if they're defending. So I'm not even rolled off for that yet. I'm not used to defending with my Soviets. So they've got more going for them, even though they've lost some stuff as well. We'll see how they play. So we'll go over to the mission next. We wanted a fair fight mission suitable for tanks. So instead of playing just like Dust Up or whatever, we're going to Armoured Fury. This mission I know can cause a few issues with scout moves and so on, or spearhead moves, but there's no scouts in these lists, so it's not going to be a problem. So special rules, you can see ambush for the defender, delayed, scattered reserves for the defender, immediate reserves for the attacker, and it's a meeting engagement. Now, you can see the weird and wonderful deployment here. Whoever's going to be defender, and I'm just going to roll all the dice on camera for that. Whoever's going to be the defender has to choose a long table edge to deploy on either. It's going to either be there or there. And then the attacker will choose if they're going to come in from this end or that end. The attacker places an objective here, here, defender places 2 here. Now what this means is, in the game, even though you're the defender, you still have to be the attacker. You're not going to win this game unless you take an objective. Whether you are nominated as the attacker or the defender, you have to take an objective. So we're going to do the dice off. As I said, I'll do it on camera. Right, here we go. Highest is the attacker. An even result. So often the case with me and Brian's games, but here we go. There you go. So Brian is going to be the attacker. Kind of had the feeling that was what was going to happen. So we're going to go on to deployment, work out what's in reserve, what's on the table, what's in ambush, and we'll come back and show you the deployment before turn 1. That's deployment done, folks. So as a defender, I've chosen this spot here. There's just a few more opportunities for ambush, like linear obstacles within the deployment zone that I can use as cover to deploy from. So I've deployed here. Brian's decided to attack from this side. He likes the hills. It gives him quite a good approach and a good staging ground to attack the objective, and he likes the cover from this. Around this side he could use the church as well, but high ground's better. It negates concealment from low terrain, for instance. So he's chosen that end, and this end here you'll see the zone where the objectives have got to go in, or one of them rather, one of the attackers, and Brian has put it there. The other one is pretty much just got to go in the middle, and there's nothing much in there, so he's just stuck it in the middle. And I've got 2 objectives to place, and I put one here and one here. Then on table I've got SU-100s in ambush. You wouldn't think you'd miss 5 big tank destroyers in that open area, but I've got 5 in ambush. T-34s over there, SMGs, mortars, observer, and then I have 2 platoons of T-34s plus company command and reserve. Then on the table Brian has got Wesps and Panthers, observer, Panzer III, platoon of Panzer IVs, and that's all you really get because of the high points value of the individual platoons. In reserve he has got a platoon of Panzer IVs, his company HQ of 2 Panzer IVs and a Panzer Grenadier platoon. So as the attacker, Brian gets first turn. It's a meeting engagement though, so we can't use artillery in this turn. So we'll come back at the end of Brian's turn 1 when I've cleared all these markers off. There's more markers on the table than there are miniatures, I think. So we'll get it cleared up and come back at the end of Brian's turn 1. German turn 1. So Brian's rolling for reserve straight away, and he didn't get anything though. The Panzer IVs have dashed, hoping to keep himself out of line of sight for any potential ambush. I suppose a bit. This is where when you're playing at a distance you have to make sure you do not put your opponent at a disadvantage. That's probably better. It means if I put my ambush over there, I've not really not got line of sight on him. I could move and get line of sight, but he's got more chance of concealment that way. No artillery because it's a meeting engagement, and his Panthers, he's decided just to keep them going to ground. He could shoot at mortars or this wee mad guy in the armoured car, but he decided to stay going to ground. He's worried about my SU-100s, and he's not worried about my mortars considering what his list is like. It's pretty much armoured all round. So over to me for my turn 1. I won't be getting any reserves, so we'll go over to that just now. Soviet turn 1. These guys moved up and did a dash and a follow me, and I spread them right out. I can't afford to lose too many of them to the artillery. Mortars can't really do anything. The T-34s, I kind of looked to see if I can move up into here, but I wouldn't be able to keep myself out of line of sight if the Panzers moved. I could very quickly lose some T-34s, and I would be placing the Panthers in a position where I wouldn't be able to really ambush them. So I decided just to stay put. So that's it for me, folks. Very boring turn 1. I'm probably going to have to be boring until Brian sticks his neck out or I get some reserves. Over to Brian, and he's got 2 dice for reserves now. German turn 2. So no reserves again for Brian. In terms of movement, he did a dash and follow me up to this point. And I've suddenly realised, once again, things can move really quick in version 4. I don't know what I'm going to do to keep this objective, because to take the objective at any point in this game and it's game over. So it's a bit of a worry for me. Over here, Brian ranged in first time with his wisps, killed one of the mortars. I think the mortars are just going to be a bit superfluous in this game, but we'll see. Give Brian something to do whilst he's got nothing else to shoot at. So that's it for Brian. He's putting a real threat on this objective. I'm going to have to do something, and I've still got no reserves yet. But I still have an ambush, but it's not in a position where it can actually hit these guys. Soviet turn 2, the mortar's unpinned. These guys have not tried to follow me actually. I'll do that off camera. I should have tried to follow me there and see if I can move him a bit further on. Though here's the thing, it's a bit tricky because he's there, so he's going to have to move that way. He can't move through his own guys. Commander moves first, remember, to follow me. But they have dashed over here. These guys have dashed more or less over here. They tried to follow me, didn't work. But I'm at least near the objective. I can get machine gun to bits, but I've got something that can respond now. And that's it really. I'll do that wee follow me and see if it works off camera. And I also did it in a way where it's going to be hard for Brian to get any shots at me with these panthers. The objective is kind of open now, but I could get reserves on fairly quick and I still have that ambush. So it's quite an open game so far. German turn 3, only one reserve, 3 dice but only one reserve. He's decided to bring on his Panzer Grenadiers and they dashed up to here. They couldn't get any closer with their dash move because of the presence of the scout, but they've dashed up to there. Then his Panzer IVs have moved around here. They're currently out of range of these guys, but I can get them into range if I move, and I will be moving. But he wants to keep pushing on in the machine gun 11 daylights out of that one guy. Everything targeted that. There was no way of putting shots on to any other teams because nobody was visible. He could have fired over here, but he just wanted to get rid of the guy in the wood, and he did that. But he had 5 saves to make and he made 4, so he nearly made it. The artillery was ranged in. I failed 2 saves, but Brian rolled 2 2s for firepower. So they've survived for a turn. They're pinned. If they're unpinned, there's a possibility they might bail out a half track or 2. But over to me now for my turn 3 when I can roll for reserves. Well, that was another gripping turn there, folks. Turn 3 and I've not fired a shot. I would have if the mortars had unpinned, but they didn't. These guys did, but I just stuck them in. They've got plenty of guys within contesting range of the objective. I'm worried now about being able to even pop an ambush over there, but I don't think his half tracks are close enough to prevent it this turn. But even if I do pop an ambush, I may be exposing my weaker armour to these guys. But the T-34's just dashed again, so I'm confident this objective is held. But we're both spread very, very thin. There's hardly anything on the table, and two objectives to attack and to hold. So there's not much happened yet. We need more guys on. So over to Brian for his turn 4, where he'll be getting 4 dice for reserves. We'll see if his last 2 platoons of tanks can arrive. Jimmy turn 4, Brian got his last reserves. They've come in over here. He moved them up with a cross-country dash. They got them as close as they could get to him, and then he did a successful follow me. That's a platoon plus a company command, so that's 2 follow me's. And did so when he successfully he moved himself a bit more behind the hill. The Panther stayed on the ground. The infantry dismounted, moved up as did the half-tracks, and together they managed to get tons and tons of hits but no kills. The artillery finally managed another kill. And then over here, Brian's worried about my anti-tank 12. So he's getting himself in contention, and one of the tanks was able to get a few shots at the commissar, but couldn't get any hits because he's gone to ground. Right, so over to me for my turn 2. I've got to think about this. Basically the bulk of Brian's army is now hammering down on a platoon of mortars and some SU-100s who are probably going to have to pop their ambush, but we'll see. Over to me for my turn 4. So going very well. These guys could have been at least bombarding those approaching infantry, but they didn't unpin. I popped my ambush here, out of line of sight of the Panthers at least, and I think I might at least survive most or avoid most side shots from those Panzer IVs because of the distance and angle, but we'll see. Didn't get any reserves. 2 dice, no reserves. It's not looking good. And these guys have moved up. I know that if Brian stays put, I have a 12-inch tactical move that would get me on his side armour. Right, so we're going to go over to shooting next. So I'll actually get to roll 5 dice, folks. I'm going to target his half-tracks. So 5 dice at long range. There's no concealment, so we're needing 5s. So that's 3 hits, which is pretty good. They're just going to go straight to firepower. So I want to try and hit the 3 nearest. Makes sense for Brian to try and push one to the furthest, and he does. So it's going to be 1, 2, 3. So 1, 2, 3. That's 3 dead half-tracks. So that's going to be less MG shots coming at me, but he's still just close enough to get an assault in, but we'll see what he decides to do. And that's it really for me for my turn 4. At least I've killed something. In fact, well, you know, Brian's killed a couple of mortars, so things are starting to happen. I'm in turn 5. So, first of all, these guys backed off. He's toying with me over here, but he is tying down some important units for me that I could really use just now. Now, over here, you can see there's a few things been going on. First of all, Panzer IVs, right? So let me see. Maybe see better from here. 2 of them were able to get around the side of the hill with a tactical move. 2 would have been able to get over the top of that wall and get line of sight on me, but they both failed cross checks. And then in terms of other movement, infantry moved up into assault positions. The Panthers have moved up because the SU-100s are committed. Brian put a smoke barrage down. It's a bit of a wobbly line, but it's enough to screen the assaulting infantry. And then when it came to shooting, the 2 Panzer IVs that were around the side rolled a 1 and a 3, which isn't going to do it. Remember, these guys are careful as well as concealed. And then on the infantry on the way up, 2 bases were subject to counterfire, and one of them got hit and killed. Then 3 bases went in for the assault. That mortar there was missed. A mortar there was hit and killed. Then that mortar swung back. The rest of them, remember, cannot charge into contact because of heavy weapons, but it managed to get a kill, rolled a 6, and then Brian broke off. So he took quite a few casualties there in that attack. It didn't go so well for him, and I only lost 1 mortar, so I was a bit lucky there. I was expecting to get pushed off the objective. I could have made my mortars run away because I only had the 1 that could hit back, but then he would just consolidate and push me away from that objective. As it is, he's not within 4 inches. He's not ending his turn within 4 inches, which is always going to give me that turn's grace that I need. and hope my reserves come on and in the right place. So this Brian's main push on the go now. Let's see what I can do in my turn 5. Soviet turn 5, so the mortars would have been good if they unpinned, but no. 3 dice for reserves, I got 1, and they came on here. That's where I needed them. If they got, I think it's a 5 or a 6, I could have really gone on the counter attack there. So it didn't happen. Here I did a blitz move. 3 of the tanks were able to position themselves for shooting with a blitz move. 2 had to move. One of them had to go out of command to get a shot and still stay in cover because those panthers are coming in the corner. The T-34s that were behind the wood have dashed up to there. They move really quick, folks. And the infantry with a Follow-Me running back up the road again, which means, might regret this to be honest, but these guys are going to try and take out those Panzer IVs. So we're ready to go over to shooting, so I'll just get ready for that. We'll start with the high issues. 2 of them that are blitzed, there's no concealment because they're close enough to the hedge. So I'll just blink for 4s to hit with them. And I get a 4 and a 6. Well, that'll be good night. Right, now, there is one which blitzed, but it's not close enough to the hedge, and one that's moved and there's no concealment. So they're effectively going to still end up as 5s because there's going to be a penalty of 1 whichever way you look at it. No hits there. And then one at long range, which will need a 8 actually, because it's also out of command, so it's moving and out of command. But I got 2 hits there, so there's 2. Whoops! I do think my finger short. 2 Panzer IVs there. So the one nearest edge of the board, and the other one, a bail and a kill. So I've killed something anyway. The mortars can't do anything. Over here, I'll just swing the camera around. These guys are going to need just 4s because they've not got the penalty that the 76 have got. So they're all the same, so 1, it's always the same. Right, I'm going to go for the one in the open. I don't think it really matters. Oh, one at the edge. Brian rolls a 2 for the save, so that's a fail. And then I roll a 5 for firepower, so that's a kill. So, killed 2 Panzer IVs, bailed 1. But Brian's now in a position to swing everything else in the fight and put that assault back in as well, folks. Over there, so very much everything still to play for. German turn 6. These guys are back here, but they started there and they shooted and scooted. One Panther stayed still, the other ones moved forward. The infantry moved up into the church, but still within charge range of one of the mortars. The Panzer IVs, they bailed out, got back in. The company command tried to do a blitz move and failed. The other platoon passed. And that was it. So on to shooting there. Panzer IVs hit nothing. But the Panthers, out of a total of 4 shots, got 3 6s. Dear. So there's 2 dead and 1 bailed. SG-100. Over here, Panzer IVs got 3 hits. 1 passed save, 1 failed save, 1 potential bail failed, so 1 dead T-34. And then here the infantry charged in, killed there was no counter fire, they killed the mortars, they rolled the motivation, had to break off, ran back to here, and infantry consolidated forward. That half track, by the way, is passing its last stands. So, not a bad turn at all for the Germans, but I've still got reserves, we'll have to see where they come on in my turn 6. Soviet turn 6, still only 1 reserve. So what happened that turn? The mortars ran away. This guy who was bailed out got back in. They are fearless, like fearless veterans, so they're quite good. The reserves I did get, however, came in here. It's a bit congested, but I'm hoping to deal with that side and then have the Panthers to deal with. Here I moved up around the side. I'm only going to get 3 shots, but I could do a lot of damage if those shots hits. The T-34s tactically moved up. Infantry dashed in, followed me. This guy here, the bailed out one, moved up. I didn't chance, even though it's a 3 up, I didn't chance a blitz move to move him any command distance. I don't think he would have got close enough anyway. So I've now got that as a unit of 3, which might help for casualties next turn. So I'm in a position to do some good shooting, so we'll move over to that next. So let's start in what could just be a sideshow, but if it goes badly wrong for me, Brian can just sweep in and take the objective. 2 side shots looking for 4s. I get 1 and a 3. Then 1 frontal shot. Oh my goodness, it's a 2. Oh dear. I think... Right, enough said about that. Right, okay, so... Over here, see if I can zoom in. I have 4 T-34s. And... This is tricky. Right, I'll tell you what's going to happen first. The one T-34 on the road that can shoot over its comrades at Panzer IV behind the church. But one hell of a shot and it misses. Now, the other ones. I could go for the Panthers. I think I'd better go for the Panthers. It's a Hail Mary, but I'll go for the Panthers. Or the machine gun infantry. I'm going to go for the Panthers. Only get 1 hit. And Brian rolls a 3. So as a potential bail, I roll a 3. So I've bailed out 1 off the Panthers. Might be lucky, you never know. There's an SU-100 that's firing at the Panthers, short range, needing a 5 because of its slow firing, rolls a 1. The other ones are going to shoot at the company command. That's these 2 here, company command there. 6 and a 3, that's going to be 1 hit. He's not going to be able to save against it, so I roll a 3 for firepower, so which is his second in command is dead. So that leaves me 4 who are going to they're just going to concentrate on the platoon of Panzer IVs that's right in front of them. So it's going to be 4 shots. Brian's in the open to me. So that's 4 hits. Bloody hell. I could have done with that over here. So it's going to be 2 each. You can't save because it's 12 against... Oh, sorry. Should have done that separately. Since I've got hit, it's easy. 2 you cannot save because they're going to be in the side armour. I'm close enough to be able to apply those shots without any worry about being too short. 2 side armours on 1, if you see what I mean. I'm within 8 inches of both of them. So he's not going to be able to save them. The ones that hit in the front, he needs a 6 for a bail. So 2 and a 4 is a fail. Going to be 2 firepowers each. Nearest, double bailed, and then dead. So the double bail has got to make a motivation. The company command is actually within distance. So I've rolled 2 dice and he's passed. So that's terrible. Killed 1, bailed 1. Oh no. Even when you got the enemy in your sights. I shall place those markers. And then I'm going to go in for an assault. So Brian's going to be able to counter fire. He's got 1 Faust and he rolls a 1. Oh, he's rolled a 1. So 3 hits, 2 on one base and 1 on the other. That's two dead bases basically. Now we have to motivate to counter attack. He rolls a 2. These gems aren't very good at sticking around in assaults, so they're going to break off back into the church, and then I can do a consolidation move. So I'll figure all that out off camera, folks. Anyway, so in that turn, could have gone a hell of a lot better, but I managed to do nothing, which is very worrying. I killed 2 Panzer IVs and bailed 1, bailed a Panther, and killed 2 bases infantry in the assault. So I'm at turn 7. So, in terms of motivation that turn, the infantry didn't unpin, the Panther didn't get back in, neither did the Panzer IV, even with protected ammo and a reroll for the company command. But he did stick around, so there's still 1 Panzer IV from the platoon plus the company command behind him. In terms of shooting, well, that company command managed to kill a T-34, the one nearest to him there. Then over here, the Panthers only managed to get 1 hit out of 4 shots. 1 hit out of 4 shots, and it only ended up with a bail. However, over here, 4 shots, 4 hits, and 3 dead T-34s. So there's nothing over here. It's going to get wacky races time again. We forgot to do the artillery, we'll have to do that next. The infantry in the half track, had to go to them and didn't get anything, but we'll stop to do the artillery. I'll tell you about that in the next turn. Soviet turn 7. These guys didn't unpin. One of them died to the west, by the way, and he got bailed out by the Wesps and didn't get back in, as did the tank beside him. So there, still bailed out. My last reserve came on and look. At least I've got something on that objective. We'll see. So, as far as the rest of the movement goes, the guys have ran up and down the road. The second time they've gone back the way, and a successful blitz for these guys. I've put 2 of them in short range of these Panthers. So we'll go over, and the guys are staying put to try and kill off the Panzer IVs. There's still infantry in that church that can come running out at me and push me away from the objective, but I might kill enough tanks. Let's see. We'll see what happens. Start with the SU-100s. 2 shots at short range. One of them's concealed though because of smoke and hedges. So concealed and in the open. So the open one gets a hit. And then one at long range, 6. There's concealment, but that 6 will be enough. So these are the only eligible targets. So it'll be front armour 10, the long range, front armour 9, sorry, then the long range one will be 10. So the front armour 9 gets a 1, the long range 1 gets a 3. So firepower on the bailed one is dead, and the other one's dead as well. I'll just transfer the smoke over. So that's kind of what I was hoping for. And then, just checking. Right, I'm going to leave the T-34 platoon. It'd be great if they weren't all bailed out. I could really have those infantry. So the other T-34 platoon over here are going to split the fire, 2 at the company command and 2 at the one sitting in the open. So the company command, I got a 2, 2, a 2 and a 3. And the one that's in the open, they get a 2, 2, a 1 and a 5. So it's hitting the front armour, so that'll be 6 against Well, if he rolls a 5 nearly, a 5 power, that's it, that gets some, so he's away. So that is at least one platoon gone. So the other surviving T-34s, I might as well try and bother the Panther. It's going to be one hit at long range in the open. Needed a 5. So Brian's armour will be 10 against 12. Oh, that sat on a 1 and dropped off to a 4. I don't think he would have thanked me for that. So he's fine. Shooting and scooting. Oh, I can shoot and scoot, shoot and scoot. I'll try and shoot and scoot the T-34s. Fails, nope. And then on the other side, I will too, what the hell. And they don't. And that's it. So in that turn I managed to kill 2 Panthers and a Panzer IV, which is okay in anybody's book, I think. But Brian's still in the fight. Open objective down here. And he can still possibly do some kind of assaulting, so we'll see what he does. Brian's turn 8. So, motivation, the Panther rolled a 2. Not good. The infantry didn't unpin. The company command is not standing in front of all those tanks, so he's moved around the hill, whilst he hopes to be able to take this objective. He did a cross-country dash and a follow me. He's trying to stay behind smoke and terrain and that building there. So it's not going to, oh no, there was some shooting, sorry. It got hit and hit again, but there's no hit all of them actually. That one passed the save, he failed, but Brian only managed a 2 up for 2 5 power, double bailed him, but he didn't run away. So that's it for Brian. I've got to see if I can be mindful of his infantry, but try and hold this objective myself. Soviet turn 8. The infantry come down this road unpinned, moved up with a bit of tactical and then a follow me. He's just backed off a bit to try and keep his side armour safe. The 2 T-34s didn't get back in again. That's a bit of a problem. I've been able to, because I want to shoot these guys over here, been able to get 2 ISU-100s in range and line of sight, but they're going to need a lot to hit. 7s, I think. The T-34s, 2 stay still, the rest have moved around to protect the objective against the remaining infantry. So we'll go over to shooting. So 2 SU-100s. 2 and a 3 ain't going to do it, so they're safe. 4 T-34 shots from the platoon at the crossroads into the church, gets 1 hit. 6 is safe. And then I'm just going to use main guns. Other T-34s, nothing. Okay, so that's it for shooting. Over to Brian now. I think it's really going to come down to what he can do with these guys. Brian's turn 9. Company command is blasted himself all the way over to there, out of the way. The Panzer IV's moved out to get shots on him. The infantry moved out to the side of the church to attack the T-34s from the side because they were in an extended line. And it meant there was very little counterfire coming their way. But we'll come to that. In terms of shooting, the Wefts managed to hit that middle tank again, but he actually saved this time. Critically, Brian rolled a 1 and a 2 to hit there, which wasn't very good. The assault, he started off with a shot from the Faust, but it's got a slow firing and it missed. It rolled a 3, so it missed. Went in for the assault, managed to get one of the two, with the two bases that could get in. But I broke off. I had to break off, so we consolidated into that house. So it's still been a nuisance, and it's still going to come down to what can be done over here, because he's now out of line of sight of my tanks. So over at turn 9, the T-34s got back in, and you know they can really move, folks. So I don't think Brian's going to get the jump on me there. The infantry tried to dig in but didn't, and then they managed another blitz, and the guys just stayed put just to shoot up the infantry. So we'll go on to shooting next. So folks, I'm not going to bother with shooting, we're just going to call it there. Those two tanks are the only thing, apart from the hiding company command, the only thing keeping Brian on the table. He's not going to take that objective unless something, it could always happen, but he's got infantry to deal with, he's got tanks to deal with. So we're going to assume that the company's going to break. I could take objectives over there as well, though would probably time out, but the company break is fairly likely. So we're going to call that a victory for the Ruskies. They lost the mortars, they lost the T-34 platoon, but apart from that it was surprisingly straightforward. The SU-100s were quite nasty against the Panthers. Their veteran status helped them stay alive. Their armour's not that great, but the veteran status made a big difference. They would have been taking more hits. And it took a round of 3 6s from the Panthers to kill any of them. So they might be quite good. Brian, so close at the start to taking the objective at a run, but motivations. That's where a company command can make a big difference, but there it was just an isolated Panzer Grenadier platoon. But it's a tricky mission all round. Both sides are having to build up the strength and get it to the right place. I was unlucky and lucky. I got one platoon in the wrong place and one in the right place, and the platoon in the wrong place got me into more trouble at the end by dying. But I got my company command on. That made it a bit tricky over here, but the guys, the speed they move it, you know, and their cross-country dash is quite remarkable. So hopefully you enjoyed that, folks. It was in some ways in the balance for quite a bit. Game of two halves, shall we say. But that was another Bagration warm-up game. It's now early March, so 3 weeks until the Bagration German launch. So we're looking forward to it. Hopefully you enjoyed the game, folks. If you did, please like, subscribe, share, do all the good things that help us build the channel. Especially if you watch it and you don't subscribe, folks, it makes a difference for YouTube in terms of them sharing our videos further to perhaps other Flames of War players if you subscribe. So please give it some thought. Thanks again, folks, and we'll see you on the next one.